It's okay to be angry. I've heard feminists say this for decades, but it hasn't stopped being true. Women don't get mad enough. I was looking over a couple of the Gnosis posts and the women will twist themselves into a pretzel to avoid seeming angry because God forbid you should have a totally normal and healthy reaction to being treated horribly. Yet this is the one thing that is lacking from these posts. I don't mean to be selfish, but I'm not mad at him, but clown face emoji. I get pissed off for them, so imagine how much repressed anger and resentment is building up inside them. If someone's being shitty to you, it is a normal response to get upset. Now should you confront these men? No. Block and delete. But I can't imagine what it does to women to hold all of this down year after year.
Block and delete instead of speaking your mind and seeing if maybe the whole situation could be solved by simply explaining how their actions make you feel. Pro tip for all my Girl Scouts dating out there: if something makes you upset, you can ask the intention behind the statement or action instead of overthinking based on assumptions or making a judgment on someone's character prematurely. Girl, guy, doesn't matter. This applies to everyone, because here on the Retro Phantom channel, we realize that everyone has an equal ability to be a great person or a total piece of shit. Remember, don't assume, because it makes an ass out of you and me. Not trademarked.
You think it's funny to take screenshots of people's NFTs, huh? Property theft is a joke to you.
Hey Girl Scout, what's shakin'? How have you been? I personally have been very content, truly feeling grateful to have celebrated Valentine's Day with a guy who adds a lot of happiness to my life. While on my love high, I was brought back into our bitter reality when I was hit with this lovely comment on my last video, where one of our haters decided to shit on the concept of misandry and diminish the reality that many men go through. It reminded me of the infamous FemaleDatingStrategy subreddit, something I rarely touch because reading through it always makes me angry. A subreddit made under the guise of helping women achieve relationships with men willing to give up all self-respect, while also seeking out the men with the most respect, all while referring to them by the name scrotes and assigning value to them based on certain criteria. And yes, most of them are still single before you ask. I think this subreddit is shit on a lot, and it is well deserved, but I definitely have some deeper thoughts on the matter as well. So I thought today we could poke some fun at some of the ridiculous demands of these women who all will call me a pick-me girl for appealing to the males they disrespect, and then have a little discussion at the end for some more serious thoughts. Sound good? Also, remember to like and subscribe to the channel before we begin because we are so close to 100k and I would love for you to be one of those people. Anyways, enough chit chat. Let's just jump right into things.
Ideas on where to meet HVM? I was talking with one of you sisters yesterday about where to meet HVM, or women, depending on orientation. For the purpose of this post, let's all reply one thoughtful idea on where and how to meet someone in person, not saying you can't meet old, but just not in this thread please. Here's mine: professional conference.
Okay, so we're scouting out where to pick up a man. Sorry, a high-value man, worth these queen's times, and not some guy online whose witty bio makes them cringe and whose blurry pics make them less than impressed because they aren't Insta-model worthy, since social image is incredibly important, and how perfectly crafted someone's Insta is obviously determines their worth as a person more so than a conversation with them ever could. Let's see what the comments have to say.
The gym. There are certainly a lot of LVM there, but they're pretty easy to spot. If he works out consistently, it shows he's concerned for his health and fitness. If he has good form and a nice body, he's probably knowledgeable about weightlifting and diet/nutrition. If he comes at 5 p.m. every day, he probably has a normal type job. Low-value behaviors include showing off, lifting more than their ability, wearing stringer tops, etc., poor form, staring at women, giving unsolicited advice to women, general poor etiquette, not cleaning up after themselves, putting plates away, steroid use, obvious signs like back acne or overinflated muscles, hygiene, no deodorant, overuse of cologne/Axe body spray, etc. Obviously it's not foolproof, but you can learn a lot by observing people in the gym.
Sorry, Pete. I know this is your first week at the gym and you're trying to better your health, but Susie over here thinks you're a shitty human being because your deadlift form is wrong. Never mind the fact that you've never done one before and you haven't been taught how to do one modified to work with the leg injury you sustained saving a kitten from a tree that one time. And I know you work wonky hours being a neurosurgeon specializing in brain surgery on children. But since you come here on your day off at 11:30 a.m. on a Wednesday and not at 5 p.m. like the typical 9 to 5 crowd, you're probably a dead-end loser with no ambition and no money to fund Susie's life. Never mind the fact that she's also here at 11:30 a.m. because she fails to realize the hypocrisy she brings to the table of this non-relationship. And double never mind the fact that if you're at the gym to genuinely better yourself like she hopes, then the last thing you'd be doing is picking up women, because that would make you seem creepy and the women at the gym would not enjoy that, even though she wants a fitness-oriented guy from the gym to pick her up. Paradoxical, yet again. And FYI, Pete, you must be on roids for having a few spots on your back according to Susie. Though maybe if she had actually given you a chance, she would have known that this was actually a lifelong insecurity that you've been battling with multiple medications and treatments since puberty and were relentlessly bullied for it, and it actually makes you feel like the world is staring at you for it. And that only the gym brings you comfort and the self-esteem that you've battled for so long in your life to achieve. But of course, Susie must make assumptions based on trivial looks because it's better than having to waste precious time on the wrong kind of guy for her. No, he must appear perfect on the outside because it will indicate he is perfect on the inside. Even though guys who try to look too good must be shallow and unintelligent. I bet my bottom dollar that if you were to judge Susie on her improper form or criticize her for being there off peak hours or for maybe not even being at her goal physique yet, she would rant about you to her fellow queens on FDS about how you make assumptions and are sexist and misogynistic and how no man should ever be allowed to make preconceived notions of a woman at first glance. Yes, the irony is palpable with these women, and they wonder why men are so confused in the dating scene on what to do and what is acceptable when these women make impossible scenarios to compete with. Let's just hope someone is rational around here.
If he can't plan a date, he isn't worth going out with in the first place. Pre-FDS it took me time to realize why it pissed me off so much when men attempting to court me would just shrug and say we can do whatever. Now I know it's one of the easiest ways to spot a lazy and disrespectful LVM. First impressions matter the most, and he is already showing you how little effort he's willing to put towards the singular simple goal of taking someone out. He can't even handle that, and additionally he is already diverting the labor of decision making onto you when he is the one attempting to court you. Not only does he likely expect you to labor over makeup, hair, shaving, etc., he also needs you to plan a date he asks you out on. Make it make sense. This is a lost cause. He's an energy vampire. Match that zero effort mood and just block/ghost. Don't give him the benefit of the doubt or let him call himself low maintenance or spontaneous. I promise, he's just lazy sis. If he wanted to, he would. These men are weak conversationalists, selfish in bed, and disrespectful as romantic partners. They will not enrich your life. Edit, this post garnered me a Reddit cares message. And screw it tears.
So let me get this straight. In order to prove himself to you, the guy has to be the one to plan everything, without any hints on what you'd like to do? What if you mutually decide to meet up? What if you ask him out? And why don't you have to prove yourself to him at all in return? Are you that perfect that a man should be willing to give up his own respect to have a chance to pay for you to hang out with him for a little bit? I bet if the guy didn't put in any effort on physical appearance on his end of things, you would call him lazy and moan about how he didn't even find you worth the effort to look good. But when he expects the same from you, it's because he's shallow and takes your looks for granted. But if he tells you he doesn't care about you dressing up, he must be a liar or desperate for any woman who looks at him twice, and you have to go through the pain of dressing up because you don't trust him at all and that's somehow his fault. Pick a side, Samantha, because poor Jimmy here doesn't know what the hell to do. Let's say Jimmy takes your bait and picks a low-key date to get to know each other, where you can talk and not have to dress up too fancy, where you can both leave easily if it's not clicking, and where if you're one of the girls who expects him to pay, or if he even wants to pay for you, it's not too much money sunk into a complete stranger who he doesn't even know if you'll want to see again. All of the typical worries of a first date covered. Smart idea, Jimmy. Everyone should be happy, right? Or not? How dare you not know what kind of extravagant date she's thinking of in her head and wants you to guess perfectly to pass her test? Coffee doesn't say I like you a latte, even though you don't really feel that way yet because you don't really know her. But Samantha wants a guy who's willing to show he's ready to propose. But wait, Jimmy popping open the Dom Perignon in a private jet to woo her with upscale? Samantha thinks he's a bit too much for someone who hasn't even met her yet, and he's obviously trying to get her drunk to make it impossible to escape him if she hates him by trapping her on a plane. No, Jimmy. Do you even know Samantha? Narrator, he did not. Don't you know that Samantha's perfect first date would be buying her a ticket to a museum? But only one where they allow talking or else it's weird, and only one where you have knowledge on the artifacts but not too much that you outshine her but enough that you can keep up with her, and dinner at a sit-down place that isn't too cheap that she feels like an afterthought but not too expensive that her clothes look out of place, and maybe serve some kind of chicken dish that's easy to eat without getting sauce all over her mouth. And you have to ask to split dessert so she can enjoy it without feeling like a pig, but leave 3/4 of it for her and pretend you don't notice. Oh, and you have to pay, but let her offer to split the bill so her image isn't tarnished, but if you accept the split, she'll probably hate you and ghost you. What do you mean, how could you have possibly known that? Read her vibes, Jimmy? Don't ask her, or she'll be annoyed that she even has to waste time telling you what you should already know. It's not like she could just tell you what she wants and not expect you to know everything magically. Oh, wait, that's what normal girls do. They give you a few options they'd enjoy and let you pick so that you're planning the date and choosing something you'll like, but they get to do something they like too. Then everyone's happy and you use that enjoyable time to look at the person themselves and see if you click. Don't worry, Jimmy. Sam is just brainwashed by FDS. Martha will tell you to pick between a gaming bar or the farmer's market and then be grateful that you plan to date around the one you share the most interest in. And she won't think too hard on who's paying for what or who wears what because you both discussed it being casual and not high stakes since you're both still essentially strangers who need to talk more before deciding if you're worth investing more into. But for the record, yes, buying her that sustainable honey from the market stand is a cute idea after discussing her passion for bees. And letting her treat you to some mini donuts after she finds out about your childhood memories of the state fair is definitely okay. Sounds like Jimmy just likes a gal who knows what she wants but isn't there to play games or use strategies to try and trap him. And Martha definitely fits that vibe more than Samantha ever will. It's almost like designing one-size-fits-all, unbending strategies with no room to change isn't the way to have a fun time dating and discovering nice, real, authentic relationships. But what do I know? I'm just a sad pick-me-sha who gives up all dignity by being okay with a guy having expectations to match mine, and accepting that compromise on things that aren't core values isn't the end of the world. And as far as I'm aware, most people that aren't active on FDS think the same, so we're all just pick-me-shas who are wrong, and they're obviously in the right with their lasting relationships and lack of being single. Moving on.
He got me a vacuum cleaner for Valentine's Day, and I'm so freaking excited. 2 years ago I was happy with my $30 Dirt Devil and I would have been devastated. 2 years ago, I also didn't have a tiny little crumb-generating toddler who hides scraps of bread under the couch like it's a sport. My wonderful, amazing, fantastic husband is delivering me for my sticky, crummy hell and I've never loved him more. Catch me vacuuming everything from now on. Behind the couch, the kitchen floor, the toddler, the dust bunny in the corner of the ceiling. F diamonds, get me a Dyson, baby.
I love my Dyson, but that post felt like such a needlessly dramatic hope. Lol. A gift for the house isn't a gift for you. Can you imagine how annoyed a man would be if a woman got him a lawn mower for Valentine's Day and said, now you can just mow the lawn yourself and we can stop paying someone else to do it? Lamau, even I'd roast her for that.
Yeah, screw Annie for taking on the role of cleaning in the relationship and being excited to have an easier way to do it. Keep shitting on her and explaining why she shouldn't be happy despite knowing nothing else about the dynamic of the relationship. By this logic, Annie would be a total D-bag if she bought her husband a nice briefcase with a comfort handle and lock to make his job a little bit easier and a little bit nicer. And by this logic, David must never buy Annie gifts that have to do with things she enjoys and only buys things to push her into doing all the work he doesn't want to do. You know we all have to ask. Annie, are you okay? Are you okay, Annie? And if that second comment isn't the biggest indicator that these women have never experienced a relationship with a normal man before, I mean, every single dad I've ever met in my life would be over the moon for a new lawnmower that they could cruise around on during their Saturday yard work routine. And many a woman have surprised their man with one for this very reason. Not because they're pressuring them to do the job that they already do, but because they've already established it's a job they're willing to do, and so why not make it the most enjoyable a chore can be? This reeks of entitlement to say that an expensive vacuum should be expected and not a big gift, despite it costing a ton of money and is something not every couple is capable of dropping the cash on instantly. Not forgetting that she obviously already has a vacuum, so he was upgrading hers to an uber expensive model and not simply gifting her something absolutely necessary. Clearly, Annie here wanted this Dyson and wasn't able to buy it for herself or didn't consider it her top need to purchase it. So for him to give it to her seems like a nice gift. But these women have to moan and groan about a gal doing anything to contribute to the relationship and are bitter that this woman is able to be happy in this relationship dynamic, so they have to bring her down to feel better about themselves. If her living life feeling happy with a Hoover for a present is too much for them to handle, I suggest they take after Dyson and suck it up. Okay, let's get serious now. The issue with this subreddit isn't its intention at its core. A lot of women, and men, go into relationships without confidence and give without taking anything in return, leaving them very unhappy. This isn't a women's only issue, though society has always pushed for women to be more nurturing, which can skew their perceptions on what to expect out of a relationship. So it makes sense that this sub targets women. It gives them some examples of things to expect from a good man, but fails to explain that they must also give something to the relationship and that offering some sacrifice or compromise is not a bad relationship. It's normal. These women looking to build confidence and demand their worth from a relationship end up falling too far on the other end of things, failing to see that men also have the right to expect something out of a relationship and that if simply being himself isn't enough, then it goes both ways and you should have something to give to them in return. Noticed how most of the women in the subreddit are single? Notice how everyone else in the real world hates this subreddit? It's only other single women validating each other's decisions and failing to see that they're all taking advice from fellow single women whose advice is yet to land them a lasting relationship. Reading about the few who have boyfriends usually leaves me feeling like the man has no self-respect and is taking over the role the woman wants to escape from. Why else would they accept a contract where they receive nothing from a woman who tells him that herself is enough without anything else? These women want alpha males but fail to see that alpha males want to be respected, and that any guy willing to simp with no self-respect will always be the beta male they desperately want to avoid, which is such a paradox. Calling a man a scrote in a derogatory way and then simultaneously demanding respect in return? And to call women like me a pick-me-isha with no self-respect for wanting to reciprocate love to my boyfriend, who does what he can for me while also holding self-respect for himself? These women who judge other women for being a housewife in return for a man who works full-time, but also judge women who choose to be career-driven with a man who stays at home with the kids. Nothing but being able to refuse to change or make compromises and leech off of men is enough for these women, and it's not healthy. I wonder if maybe they set these unreasonable expectations because they're worried that they won't ever find someone who isn't looking to take them for granted, and so they hide under the guise of being the one in charge and deciding no one is good enough. Either way, you can't let other people and past experiences allow you to put your trauma onto someone else who hasn't even proven they're anything like the last guy. Work on yourself, learn to accept what you've gone through, and become better from it. Don't accept less than you deserve, but don't let people taking advantage of your kindness ever stop you from giving it to the people who deserve it. Look, relationships go two ways. If these women want to have a man pay for everything, that's fine, but they have to offer up something just as valuable in return to show that they're willing to give something to the relationship. It's a reasonable request that you do the housekeeping or cook all the meals to fit that dynamic. If you think it's sexist, then maybe you should be working and splitting the costs of everything instead. It's also reasonable to split things up differently and contribute different percentages to each aspect of a relationship, as long as each person is contributing something to show that they appreciate what the other is offering up in their end of things. My boyfriend and I both work, so we split bills equally, take turns buying food and expenses for the flat, but we split up cooking and cleaning probably about 70-30 respectively to play up to each of our strengths. It's not something we keep tabs on, but we're both mindful that loving someone isn't about taking from them without giving in return. As long as you feel like it's equal, you'll be happy, and you'll know. Lavish gifts, getting everything paid for, never having to do work, that all sounds nice, but it comes with creeping resentment from the giving party and a disrespect from the receiving party towards someone who's not willing to stand up for themselves. It just won't work. And if these women can learn this, then they'll be able to find fulfilling, realistic, and long-lasting relationships. And trust me, it is definitely worth the feeling. Love you, Doug. And I think that is everything I need to say on that. Let me know in the comments if you agree with me, or let me know why you think I'm a big dum-dum. Either way, I look forward to hearing what you think. If you enjoyed today's video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. We are so very close to 100K, and I really think we can hit it in the next week or two if we spread the word. Come on over to my socials to interact with me because I love seeing you on Discord and receiving heartwarming DMs on Insta. And that's all from me. Hope you all have an amazing day, and I shall see you all in the next video. Peace out, Girl Scouts. Thanks for watching.